Hey everybody, this is MC with MC Gaming. Today we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed 2, an action-adventure game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. Released in 2009 when I was 17 years old, I loved this game, and played it to death when it came out, and I'll admit, I was viewing this game through rose-tinted glasses when I first started playing it again, harkening back to the good old days of not paying rent, staying up all night playing games, and eating a ridiculous amount of pizza. And I still do those things, but unfortunately I have to pay rent now. After playing through the game, I will say that the rose tint on my glasses has started to fade, and many of the game's issues have become more apparent than ever before. But on the other hand, I'm also realizing how many things this game did just right. So is Assassin's Creed 2 as good as I remember, or is it just another product of nostalgia only bringing me back to experience the days of past? Let's get on with the review. In Assassin's Creed 2, you play as Desmond Miles. After the events of Assassin's Creed 1, Desmond finds himself escaping Abstergo with the help of former Abstergo researcher turned assassin Lucy Stillman. Lucy, accompanied by historian Sean Hastings and Animus technician Rebecca Crane, lead Desmond throughout Italy, taking over the role of the assassin Ezio Auditore de Firenze. After seeing his brothers and father wrongfully hanged for treason, Ezio sets out to find their killers and all conspirators in between. Meanwhile, Desmond searches for memories scattered throughout the Animus belonging to other test subjects, hoping to find the answer to some of life's greatest mysteries.
Get him! With pleasure.
That you! Get him!
There will be enough of you left to bury!
Assassin's Creed 2 was an Xbox 360 and PS3 era game that landed around the third year of the console's life. When this game came out, I legitimately thought that it was the most lifelike game that I had ever seen. I mean, the first Assassin's Creed looked good, but this title blew me away. The beginning of the game, which is set in Florence, was a beautiful way to start off the experience. Later areas can be bleak, but once you get to Venice, you will forget everything else. The entire game could take place in Venice and I would be perfectly happy with it. The maps are huge, with skyscrapers giving you a bird's eye view of the dense yet gorgeous cityscapes below. Textures when viewed from a distance are pretty blurry, but as I said before, this game did come out on the Xbox 360 and PS3, so I'm not too surprised by that. But I'm also playing on a PC, but these are just artifacts of the time. I did notice a lot of the same building models scattered throughout the map as well, which is bound to happen no matter what. I just noticed it a little bit more than I felt like I should have. I also noticed some of the grassy areas were only able to show up within around 10 feet of my character. Once again, this is just a nitpick and not a big deal in any way. What was a big deal was some of the animations. Every character, including Ezio, had animation issues at some point. Sometimes when I was climbing, Ezio's arm would just start spazzing out, or when I killed an enemy, there was this jolt before their body went ragdoll, as if I shot them with electricity, as if I was a Sith Lord. The guards would also do this really wonky walk whenever I would be in their side view.
Hello, my baby! Hello, my honey! Hello, my ragtime guy!
Other than those small complaints, I actually have nothing but good things to say about the graphics, and there were some areas of the game that even 10 years later I have to sit back and really appreciate. Like an assassin tomb later in the game that's filled with beautiful artwork throughout the ceiling and walls. Overall, I'm very impressed with the graphics. If you've ever played an Assassin's Creed game before, then you know exactly what you do in an Assassin's Creed game. You assassinate things, and run. A lot. The main thing that attracted me to Assassin's Creed when it was first announced at E3 was the wall climbing mechanics. I never paid a lot of attention to the combat in these trailers because I just assumed it was good. I was younger then and wrongfully full of hope. But to this day, I'm still impressed with the climbing in Assassin's Creed 2. In fact, compared to the newer titles, I actually prefer this climbing style, as you actually have to look where your character is climbing and not just hold the up button. I do have a few gripes with the climbing mechanic though. One issue I had were these very tall structures that you had to climb all the way around them just to get to the top. I understand that you don't want Ezio to go in a straight line just to get to the top, and you want to create some diversity. I'm all for that, but having the player go all the way around the structure multiple times, climbing arbitrarily placed spots in the building just to pad the climb, is a little ridiculous. I enjoyed climbing tall towers, and it feels satisfying when you finally reach the top, but sometimes it's a little too much and I was just bored by the time I got there. Another issue with climbing is the pathfinding for friendly and enemy NPCs. If someone is following you or chasing you, or vice versa, it's almost always a bad time. When I'm following an enemy on the rooftops and get close, they will start erratically jumping around the area, and every time a new animation is started, it makes it impossible to perform an assassination or a tackle, so I just have to wait for the character to figure out what to do. If I have a group following me, such as thieves, then they will often get stuck or fall into the water and die just because they spent all their time learning how to steal and no time learning how to swim. There are a few linear chase sequences throughout the game as well in different tombs. You'll be chasing a guard who apparently only knows 2 sentences through a non-branching level that you have to parkour your way through.
Run faster! Leave me alone! Run faster!
I actually noticed that if you mess up or if you're really slow, that the guard will actually wait for you, ruining any real suspense that moment might have actually had. I'm sure you've also at some point heard the common Assassin's Creed complaint that when you're following an NPC, they have a different walking speed than you. This is definitely present in this game, and it's definitely annoying. But I did notice something. When you follow a character in Florence or in your home base of Monteriggioni, they will be slower than your character, almost as if they have no urgency. But when you are in Venice, which is a considerably more dangerous place, then the characters you follow are faster than your regular walking, suggesting that there is a need for haste in such a dangerous place. If this was intentional, it's kind of genius, but it can come off as annoying at the same time.
Get this to its destination fast. Really fast. I'll pay you well.
Outside of base missions, you also have access to other opportunities to keep you busy, such as races, beat-em-up missions, or assassination contracts. You also have a fair number of items to collect through Italy, like feathers or animus memory fragments. While playing, you will have access to your uncle's estate of Monteriggioni, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. When you first arrive, the town is basically empty and run down with only a couple of shops actually open. Your sister will soon begin bookkeeping, allowing you to upgrade Monteriggioni to its former glory. The more value you add to your home base, the more income it will bring to you. This money that is made will then accrue to a cap of around 50,000 florins, which is more than enough to usually buy anything you'll need for that particular moment. You can buy a variety of weapons and armor of differing qualities. You can also purchase paintings for your home base, treasure maps to make your life easier when searching for florins, as well as purchase different dyes for your outfit. As you purchase items, this will increase the value of your home base, making you more and more money. There are 6 Assassin's Tombs scattered throughout the world for you to visit, which are basically just tests of your parkour abilities. I actually thought these were super fun, and having just 6 of them made it to where they didn't overstay their welcome. I also mentioned earlier that you'll have to search for memory fragments. These fragments store information from a previous Animus test subject, and when put together will reveal more story information. I really like this collectible item for the simple fact that it has gameplay and story ramifications. It wasn't just some item that I was collecting. I was building a story and unraveling a mystery by collecting these hints. One thing I found annoying, and this kept happening throughout the game, was when I would enter a new area, I would have to complete a certain amount of quests before the entire map was made available to me. I would have preferred the openness of just being able to freely explore a new area and come and go as I please. This is only a small gripe, but it definitely annoyed me a couple of times. Now on to the biggest problem with this game by far, the combat. It's just boring. It's not really bad, but after you get into a few fights and realize that all you have to do is click the counter button, then it gets dull, quick. And later on in the game, you will fight enemies that you can't counter due to their size. I don't know exactly what you're supposed to do with these guys, but I got so frustrated with how long it took to kill them that I would just stock up on smoke bombs, throw them on the ground, and then just kill them from behind while they were coughing their lungs out. One thing I'll admit is that the animations during combat are pretty cool. I was actually really impressed when one of the big guards hit me with his axe and it brought Ezio to his knees. It was a nice touch.
Replacing them. After the assassin is dealt. You there! What do you want?
Ezio has access to an array of assassination techniques, such as killing enemies with poison, using smoke bombs, or throwing knives. The Hidden Blade, which is an icon of the series, is as fun as it was in the first game, and the Double Blade makes it even more satisfying. Being able to quickly get rid of 2 enemies with a well-placed button pressed is so convenient sometimes. So if you haven't figured it out yet, there's a lot to do in Italy, and you'll rarely find yourself bored unless you're involved in combat. Overall, I am extremely satisfied with the gameplay in this installment. I'm playing Assassin's Creed 2 through Ubisoft's new Uplay Plus service, a service that grants you access to every Ubisoft game along with all of its DLC for $15 a month. The service is currently free up until October of 2019, so it's the perfect time to give it a try. I enjoyed every minute of Assassin's Creed 2, and I'm happy to say that it's every bit as good as I remember. The combat might be wonky, and the animations might be rough sometimes, but overall, it's an extremely fun trip to Italy that I'm sure you'll love as much as I did. Assassin's Creed 2 gets a 9 out of 10. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me on my review of Assassin's Creed 2. If you liked the review, make sure to hit that like button and share with your friends. And I'm not quite there yet, but I hope to make uploading a regular habit, so with that in mind, I'll see you soon. Thanks a lot, everybody.